Hello there, welcome to another episode of the Allotment Dram. This is a series of short videos where we talk about different whiskies in the surroundings of our North London allotment, and today it's been quite, it's a little bit damp, a little bit cold, but it is mid-November, so we've had a lot of rain recently, the last week or so as well, so everything's very damp, but otherwise the day not too bad, quite nice actually for working up here, but while that is very interesting, I'm sure you're here to listen and hear about some whiskey. So what is the Allotment Dram today, I hear you ask? Well, it's a brand new product, literally released last week or the week before, and I've only got a sample of it. It is the Ardbeg Hypernova. So this is a little press sample that very lucky to receive. The full bottle is £190, so wasn't quite lucky enough to get one of those this time, but yeah, Ardbeg Hypernova, what can I tell you about it? Well, it's a Ardbeg committee only release, so you have to be a member of the committee, which is free to join, so just go to ardbeg.com and you can join that pretty easily. Every year or twice a year they release special bottlings just for the committee members, which there's now over 100,000, 120,000, something like that, and this is the latest one. So Hypernova is what's pitched as the smokiest ever Ardbeg, which Ardbeg's pretty smoky in the first place, so it'll be very interesting to see what we've got in the bottle here. But and it's a sort of hat tip and takes its inspiration from a previous release called Supernova, which was some years back now, but very sort of iconic release, very smoky, peaty release as well. And when they say smokiest ever, how do they kind of justify that? Well, they've put a figure on it, which is 170 ppm, 170 ppm. So to put that into context, regular Ardbeg is about 55 to 60 ppm, so essentially they're saying this is 3 times more peaty, smoky than regular Ardbeg. But what does ppm mean? If you're not sure, it actually means phenol parts per million, so technically ppm, but what does that mean? Well, phenol is a compound that naturally occurs in the peat, which is made up of compacted vegetation, compacted over thousands of years, then dug up, dried out, and then used as fuel. So it comes into the whiskey process at the end of the malting process, part of the process. So your barley has started to grow its little shoot and root. It's now ready to grow into a plant. It's turned all the starch into sugar. But what you need to do is to stop it growing into a plant and using all the sugar that you need to make alcohol, you need to kill it off. So the traditional way of doing that was to have it on a mesh floor, the kiln underneath, you light the fire, and of course for much of whiskey making history, bar the last sort of 60 or 70 years, the only fuel that you had was peat. So when you burn peat, these compounds called phenol, hence the phenol parts per million, these phenols rise up in the smoke, they're released, they rise up in the smoke, go through the mesh floor, and then get locked in to the barley grains. So then it goes through the whole process, so the milling, the mashing, the fermentation, the distillation, getting filled into the cask. Those phenols are there. That's what you're smelling and tasting when you get a smoky or peaty whiskey, the majority of the time. But yes, so phenol, that is essentially what they are, where they come from, how they get into the whiskey. So if you think about this is being pitched as 3 times the amount of peatiness. So how do they get that? I mean, simplistically, they leave the peat fire burning longer and longer and longer until they get the ppm that they want in the final barley. So it's as simple as that. So literally things that have very light peat, so say Highland Park, something like that, would have a very short time over a peat fire for the barley, whereas something like the Ardbeg, which are the most peaty of regularly available things at sort of 55 or 60 ppm, they would burn a bit longer, and then in this case they would burn it even longer for Hypernova. So Hypernova itself is bottled at 51%. As I said, it's about £190 a bottle off the Ardbeg websites. I mean, I doubt there's any left on there. I should have checked before I came up to here, but I doubt there's any left. These things normally sell out pretty rapidly. But there's things called Ardbeg embassies dotted around the world, which you might still be able to get some from. Or of course, as with anything Ardbeg, there's quite a big market on the secondary market, so auction sites and one or two naughty retailers, let's say. You'll pay a bit more than £190, but I think that's quite enough. We need to have a little taste of this and just see what we've got. I've dug out my special Ardbeg glass as well, which I got when I went to the distillery. So you'll see very pale colour. Christ, it's already like leaping out. As soon as I opened the bottle, I could smell the peat smoke. Really, really pungent, aromatic. So let's have a proper smell. Goodness me, wow, this is like a slap around the face with peat smoke. It's sort of big, medicinal, acrid, very, very strong, very pungent. Yeah, it's got a sort of damp earth, sort of damp moss, drying seaweed, quite sort of coastal sort of note. But underneath there is actually detecting some vanilla, like vanilla pod, a little bit of like a sort of fragrant honey, like a heather honey. Also like quite a distinct sort of malty biscuit, that type of thing. But let's have a taste. And say with 51%, you know, tread a little bit carefully, but we'll see what we find. Wow, wow, that is like big, drying, ashy, medicinal, straight away. It's literally like assaulting the taste buds. Wowzers, that is incredible. That is very peaty, with this like damp earth, damp moss, a bit of this like coastal like seaweed, sort of ozone, you know, sea spray. It's also got a slightly, sounds a bit odd, but a slightly flinty, sort of chalky feel in the mouth as well. But yeah, very peppery, a little bit hot. I mean, that could be the amount of phenol in here from the peat, or it could also be the 51%. But yeah, very big. I mean, as you would expect for something branded as the smokiest ever of something. But yeah, it's just been maturing in the old bourbon cask, so you know, not too much coming from the cask itself. There's a nice bit of sweetness, as I say, this little bit of vanilla and sort of heather honey. But let's have another taste. Noticing this like sort of chalky feel, flinty, mineralic feel, and yeah, it really is these like damp moss, damp earth, seaweed. You know, the seaweed, when the tide starts going out and it starts to dry, and you get this very pungent smell. Also a bit like, you know, the seaweed that you get wrapped around sushi. It's got a little element of that. But yeah, very bold, very, you know, really, really nice. I mean, if you like peaty whiskies and you've got, well, you'll probably be paying closer to £300 now if you can't find one in one of the embassies for the actual recommended retail price. And you like your peaty whiskies, then yeah, I've not tasted much that's peatier or smokier than this. Yeah, what a treat, actually. You know, really pleased to have got this sample, and yeah, I'll probably leave it at that. Hope you've enjoyed the review. We'll let you get on with doing whatever you were doing before you stumbled across this video, And you know, if you get a chance, you know, if you're in a whiskey bar, or you know, friends has managed to get a bottle of Ardbeg Hypernova, then you know, I'd say see if you can get a dram of it, because yeah, it's eye-wateringly pungent and strong, but yeah, very good, really nice. Certainly going to keep me warm for the rest of my time up here in the next hour or two before it gets dark. So from myself and the Ardbeg Hypernova, we will bid you farewell and see you for the next allotment dram. Cheers.